I'm Chris Childers. I own Cumberland Energy Consultants, and I am a contract dwelling needs evaluator and quality control inspector for a couple of agencies across the state of Kentucky. I started in 2010, April 1st, so just over 15 or starting my 15th year. I was a heating and air contractor for 10 years before that, and of course 2008 housing market crashed, and so 2010 the opportunity came up to do heating and air for a community action agency in Manchester, Kentucky. So I began there to do heating and air. Soon after I started, they decided they needed folks to do inspections. So, so probably 3 months after I started, I was being trained as an inspector and have done inspections ever since. Well, the Weatherization Assistance Program is operated through your local community action agencies here in Kentucky. So we serve all 120 counties. Someone serves every county. It's primarily for low to moderate income folks. We're an efficiency program, so we're lowering folks' bill, but we're also making their homes more comfortable, more durable, and one of the biggest impacts we have, I feel like, is we address, we make sure that every home that we work on has a safe and efficient heating system. Probably the second year of COVID, I was evaluating a home, and after completing the evaluation, I sat down with the homeowners to explain what we were going to do. And I mentioned that they had a leaking water heater I'd discovered, and that we were going to address that and, you know, put them in a new water heater so that it wouldn't keep deteriorating the home and everything. And the man and wife are sitting across from me, and he jumped straight up out of it, I mean, like that. And then when he come back down, the emotion came over him and everything. And his wife said, I didn't know we had a leak. Well, he knew they had a water leak, but he also knew he had long COVID, so he was unemployed. And they had a nice home, but he was unable to go back to work and everything. So of course they were income qualified at this point. He knew they had the water leak, but he also knew they didn't have the funds to address it. For me, I do the evaluations and the post inspections, so I usually set up 2 appointments a day, and most of the work that the homes I work on, I live outside the service area, so I have about a 2-hour commute. So drive in, try to make the first appointment around 9 o'clock, go in and introduce myself to the folks, or if I'm doing a post inspection, I've already been there. So you know, come in and I'm either assessing what work will need to be done, measuring the home, going into the attic, in the crawl space, testing out the heat system, water heaters, you know, metering appliances like the refrigerator and stuff. A lot of documentation, a lot of, and you're also interviewing the homeowners, right. You know, find out about comfort levels and concerns that they have and stuff. And but I usually in a home 3 to 4 hours, and then I'll have an afternoon appointment, you know, nearby usually, and then commute back and stuff. So you know, everyone is different. So I have folks that are really interested in the program and really interested in what I'm doing, wanting to observe what I'm doing, and ask a lot of questions. I have families that'll say, you know, I'll come in, make the introduction, I'll say I'm getting started, and they'll have at it, you know, and then I'll circle back to them at the end once I've gathered up all my measurements and everything, and talk to them about what I've observed and what we're going to be able to do and stuff, you know. So almost every home that we work on, we're going to be adding insulation to. If it's a home with a central heating system with a duct system, we're going to be sealing those ducts, doing air sealing on the home. We may be installing a new heat system just according to how the one they have tests out and everything. Then we do a lot of base load items, low flow shower heads, LED lighting, things like that. Those are pretty standard in every home. Every home does get there's no set package, so we're evaluating every home, and then based upon how it tests and the software we use, it will recommend what items need to be addressed. So the applicant qualifies for the program, and then when I go out, I'm making sure that the condition of the home qualifies for us to work on. So then I'm doing a lot of visual inspections, visually verifying how much insulation there is. But then we also we use a lot of diagnostic equipment to test heating systems, to test if they have a gas cook stove to see how cleanly it's burning. It makes sure it's not putting off fumes into the home. Then we're verifying the ventilation in the home, and doing we have what's called a blower door that will test the leakage on a home. So then we compare all of those tests to the standard we use. And so like when we're testing ductwork, we're tightening it up to a new home standards, the same as if you drove through a subdivision of homes we're going up. We're holding the homes we're working in, we're bringing them up to that standard as far as duct leakage and things like that. Having the weatherization ready funds available, we've only had those available maybe, we might be in our 5th year now. Before that, a lot of the issues we would find in older homes is asbestos on the duct system. They may have a small plumbing leak, things like that, and that would have stopped us before. And now we're able to address, you know, certain repairs, not huge structural repairs, but there's a lot of things now that we can address, so that we are able to go ahead with our weatherization services. So a lot of folks think that we're windows and doors, and you know, we're not really doing that many windows and doors. We are insulation, improving your heat system program and stuff. According to what your role is on the team would determine what training you would need. They have a training center here in the state, in Versailles, and so if you're a crew leader, there's a crew leader designation. You go to that class, and there's a certification if you want to pursue it through BPI. Then also there's, if you're a crew member, it's called a retrofit installer course that you would go to. And if you wanted to be an evaluator, you would go through the dwelling needs evaluator training, and then also the energy auditor training, which is a BPI national certification. Well, we work with Kentucky Housing Corporation because they oversee the funds that we use. So if we have technical issues, we have a monitor we can call, discuss, you know, because as I said earlier, every home is different, every client's different. So, you know, something may come up, we'll contact Kentucky Housing, talk to them about the situation. They may have to ask DOE about it, the folks who oversee all of our funding. I would like us to see some increased funding. We operate on an average cost per unit. So like I said, every home is different. So we may go in this home and insulate the attic and the crawl space and put in a new heat system and several other items. And we may go into another home that's got a good heat system in it, has a well insulated crawl space, or is on a basement. We may only insulate the attic and do some base load measures. So again, we're operating on an average, but with the price of everything currently, we're up against those averages. So I'd like to see an increase there. Probably 1 in every 4 homes I go into. Most of my clients are older. They're retired people. A lot, they're trying to age in place. They're my typical home is a home they've raised their family in, and they're trying to stay in that home. I get asked a lot about wheelchair ramps, accessibility issues. I know that's not weatherization's role, but if there was an opportunity to expand, that would be an area I believe it's a service that is needed. We're making an impact on the families we serve. Our energy savings is an impact. It's a small impact. The big impact I feel like we make, one that's hard to measure, is I'd said earlier, we make sure that you have a safe and efficient heat system. And if if it's 10 degrees outside and you're worried if that 25-year-old furnace is going to lay down, it's hard to measure that impact if we install you a new heat system, or if you're worried about spending another $500 this winter to keep that system going. That's where I feel like we make a big impact that again is hard to measure.